Imagine waking up one day, your eyes slowly adjusting to the dim light, filtering through the blinds. The morning is eerily still, yet you sense a pressure in the air, as though the day ahead is not just another ordinary day. The weight of an invisible burden sits on your chest, a heaviness you've carried for as long as you can remember. You don't know why, but it feels like something is holding you back, something just out of reach, yet undeniably real. You get up, make coffee, and go through the motions of your routine, but in the quiet moments between tasks, you can't shake the feeling that you are trapped by a past that has already happened, yet it refuses to let go of you. Every thought, every decision seems tainted by memories you've long since buried. It's as if they are ghosts haunting the present, shaping your every move. What would it feel like to simply let go? To release yourself from this invisible grip that pulls you backward, always backward? How many of us are living under the constant weight of a past we cannot seem to escape? Why does it seem so difficult to let go, even when we know that the past no longer serves us, no longer defines us? Think about this. The past, with all its successes, failures, joys, and pains, is already gone. It exists only in our minds, in our memories, which, ironically, we choose to hold on to so tightly. But what if, by holding on, we are not preserving our past? We are letting it control our future. The question is simple, yet its implications are vast. What are the only things standing between you and the freedom you crave is your refusal to release what's already been lost. What does it truly mean to let go? To liberate yourself from the prison of your own history? In the next section, we will dive deep into the psychological and philosophical forces that keep us tethered to our past. What makes it so difficult to release that which no longer serves us? Why do we hold on, even when it hurts us? But before we can unravel these questions, let's first explore the hidden problem that lies beneath our struggle. The invisible force that shapes our behavior, often without us even realizing it. Let's begin by acknowledging the obvious. We are all products of our past, our identities, the way we interact with the world, our very sense of self. Everything is shaped by our experiences. But here lies the paradox. While our past has undoubtedly contributed to the person we are today, it also has the power to keep us locked in place. Why is it so hard to let go? Why, despite all our rational understanding that the past is over and done, do we remain enslaved to it? The answer lies in the subtle, often unconscious forces that govern human behavior. This force is not only psychological, it is deeply philosophical. It is woven into the very fabric of how we understand ourselves and our existence. One of the most profound thinkers to tackle the issue of human suffering and our attachment to the past was Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche, in his exploration of the eternal recurrence, presented a disturbing thought experiment. Imagine living the same life over and over again, eternally, with all its pain, mistakes, regrets, and joys. Would we embrace our past, or would we wish it all away? Nietzsche argued that to truly live authentically, we must come to a place where we can say yes to our entire existence, including the suffering and mistakes. But how can we say yes to something that still hurts us, something that drags us down into the depths of regret? The problem, as Nietzsche saw it, is that we often live in a state of resentment. We resent the past, we resent the mistakes we've made, the people we've hurt, and the pain we've endured. This resentment eats at us, feeding the story we tell ourselves about who we are. We begin to define ourselves not by who we have the potential to become, but by who we were, by the choices we made long ago. In more contemporary psychological terms, this is what Carl Jung might describe as a shadow, the parts of ourselves we reject, the past experiences we refuse to integrate. Jung argued that until we confront and accept these parts of ourselves, we cannot move forward. The shadow is a powerful force, often manifesting in our dreams, our projections onto others, and even in our behavior. It's as if we are constantly running from it, unable to see that the only way to escape its grip is to embrace it fully. But how does one truly embrace the past without being consumed by it? The answer is not simple. It requires an understanding of the deep interconnection between memory and identity. Jean-Paul Sartre, in his existential philosophy, argued that we are condemned to be free. This freedom, however, comes with the burden of creating ourselves in every moment. Sartre believed that our past does not define us. It is only a part of the story, not the whole. And yet, we often become prisoners of our own narrative, unable to see beyond the lens of our past experiences. In fact, contemporary psychological research shows that memory is not as reliable as we often think. Our memories are not fixed records of what happened, but are instead constantly reinterpreted and reshaped by our current state of mind. This is where the danger lies. By constantly revisiting and reinterpreting the past, we create a version of ourselves that is based not on reality, but on a distorted narrative we continue to tell ourselves. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer also addressed this psychological bind in his concept of the will to live. For Schopenhauer, human suffering is rooted in our insatiable desires, particularly our desire to cling to past experiences or future expectations. It's as though we cannot stand to be still, to live in the present moment. And so we cling to what we know, the past, even when it no longer serves us. We are trapped in an endless cycle of wanting, remembering, and anticipating. This desire to hold on, even when it causes us pain, is a manifestation of what Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, called existential vacuum. When we lose our sense of meaning, when we do not know who we are outside of the past, we begin to search for meaning in the wrong places. We fill the void with memories, regrets, and resentments, rather than confronting the deeper question of who we could be without these chains. So, why is letting go so difficult? It is not simply a matter of relinquishing something tangible. It's about releasing a part of our identity. To let go is to risk becoming nothing, to face the terrifying emptiness of uncertainty. But this, according to existential philosophy, is the very essence of freedom, the ability to define ourselves anew, free from the burden of a past that no longer serves us. Now, let's pause for a moment to reflect. If we continue to live our lives governed by past events, by memories that shape us into fixed identities, what happens to the person we could become? The question is not just psychological, it is existential. Are we so afraid of letting go because we are terrified of who we might be without the weight of the past? The answer, perhaps, lies in what comes next, the realization of how deeply this attachment to the past affects us, not just on a personal level, but on a societal scale as well. In the next section, we will explore the unseen consequences of clinging to the past and how it shapes the very fabric of our reality. But before we go there, think carefully. If the past no longer defines us, what would it mean to live freely in the present, unburdened by the weight of history? What would you become? Now, imagine the invisible threads of your past weaving through every decision you make, every relationship you form, and every experience you encounter. You may not see them, but they are there, intricately influencing your life in ways you are not fully aware of. Every moment you relive an old wound, every time you replay a mistake in your mind, you unknowingly allow that past to dictate your future. The weight of regret, the sting of betrayal, the echoes of failure you can never seem to shake. They all form an invisible chain, locking you in place. And while this chain might not be visible to the outside world, it subtly directs your every action, keeping you tethered to a version of yourself that is no longer relevant. This phenomenon is not just psychological. It has profound neurological and cognitive implications. Cognitive biases, the mental shortcuts our brains use to process information, can make it almost impossible to escape the patterns set by our past experiences. One of the most relevant biases here is the confirmation bias, which causes us to search for and interpret information in ways that confirm our existing beliefs. If you believe that your past mistakes define your worth, you will unconsciously seek out experiences that reinforce this belief. You may avoid new opportunities, sabotage your relationships, or reject new ways of thinking, all because your mind is constantly revisiting a past that no longer holds any truth. Neurologically, this process becomes even more entrenched. The brain has a powerful ability to reinforce memories and patterns, creating neural pathways that solidify certain ways of thinking and behaving. The more we dwell on a past event, the stronger these neural pathways become. Over time, our brain wires itself to respond to new experiences through the lens of that past, like wearing the same old pair of glasses, even though they are cracked and no longer provide a clear view of the world. The problem is that this self-reinforcing loop, though comfortable, is incredibly limiting. It prevents growth. The brain is capable of remarkable neuroplasticity. the ability to form new connections and adapt to new environments. But when we stay stuck in the past, we stunt this potential. We are no longer living in the present moment. We are trapped in a perpetual loop of recollection, reinforcing the belief that who we were is who we must remain. We become rigid, fixed in the mold of yesterday. But the consequences of holding on to the past extend beyond the individual. These patterns also have far-reaching effects on our relationships, both personal and societal. When we are unable to release the grip of old wounds, we carry them into our interactions with others. We project our unresolved pain onto people who may not even be involved in our past. A person who has been hurt by a past partner might unconsciously mistrust every new partner, interpreting innocent gestures through a lens of past trauma. A person who has failed in a past career may find themselves paralyzed by the fear of failure in new ventures, even if those ventures have the potential to bring great success. These consequences are not just personal. They create a ripple effect, influencing those around us and distorting the way we perceive and relate to the world. On a societal level, these patterns of clinging to the past are magnified. When collective groups or even entire societies are unable to let go of historical grievances, be they racial, political, or cultural, they remain trapped in cycles of conflict and division. The collective memory of past injustices, though important to acknowledge, can also create an environment of ongoing resentment. This becomes a breeding ground for fear, hatred, and divisiveness. As much as we may try to move forward, the collective unwillingness to let go keeps us anchored to old wounds. The result is that entire societies, like individuals, remain stuck, unable to evolve past the narratives that define them. Culturally, we are taught to hold on. The idea of perseverance, of learning from our mistakes, of never forgetting, is so ingrained in us that it becomes difficult to see when it becomes toxic. We are taught to hold tight to our past, to wear like a badge of honor, as if doing so somehow validates our existence. But what if, by holding on, we are limiting our capacity to create new experiences? What if the true meaning of freedom lies not in holding the past close, but in releasing it completely? It is this paradox that makes the process of letting go so difficult. We fear that in letting go, we lose part of ourselves. We fear that the past, once released, will erase the person we have come to identify as our true self. But here lies the tragic irony. By holding on to the past, we are not preserving it. We are suffocating the potential of who we could become. We cannot grow, cannot evolve, as long as we are dragging behind us the dead weight of history. Perhaps the most unsettling consequence of all is that we may not even realize we are trapped. The subtlety of this attachment to the past is what makes it so dangerous. It operates in the background of our lives, influencing our decisions, actions, and emotions without us being fully conscious of it. It is like an invisible puppet master, pulling the strings of our lives while we remain blissfully unaware. We go through the motions, not realizing that the choices we make today are shaped by events that happened years, even decades, ago. But it doesn't have to be this way. You are not doomed to be forever bound by the past. There is a way out. There is a path that leads to freedom, to the ability to shed the weight of history, and embrace the present with an open heart. In the next section, we will explore how to break free from these invisible chains and reclaim your autonomy. The question is no longer whether it is possible to change, but whether you are ready to do so. Are you ready to release the past and step into the vast, uncharted future that awaits you? Now that we have explored the psychological and societal forces that bind us to our past, the time has come to ask, how do we break free? The first step is understanding that letting go is not a passive act of forgetting, but an active decision to reclaim the present. It is a rebellion against the very forces that seek to keep you anchored in a place that no longer serves you. This rebellion, however, is not against the world. It is against the internal narratives that you have unconsciously built about who you are and who you must be. One of the most radical shifts you can make in your thinking is to recognize that you are not your past. Your past does not own you. You are not defined by the mistakes you made, the trauma you endured, or the failures you experienced. You are defined by what you choose to become in each present moment. This understanding is the first step in the liberation process. To start, imagine if you could look at your past without emotional attachment, like watching a movie about someone else. This doesn't mean denying the significance of what you've experienced, but rather seeing for what it truly is, a series of events that happened, not a permanent identity that defines you. You are not the character from that film. You are the one who is free to choose the next chapter of your story. This perspective shift is liberating because it breaks the cycle of perpetual self-judgment. But how can you make this shift? How do you begin to peel away the layers of attachment that keep you bound to the past? One powerful tool is the practice of mindfulness. In his book, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle emphasizes that the only time that truly exists is the present moment. The past is gone, the future is unknown, and all that remains is now. By practicing mindfulness, you can train yourself to recognize when your mind drifts into past and gently bring it back to the present. This simple act of awareness begins to disarm the pull of old memories, allowing you to live in the moment instead of constantly reliving what has already been. This, however, is only the first layer. Mindfulness is essential, but it is not enough on its own. To truly break free, you need to challenge the narratives you created around your past. The stories we tell ourselves about who we are have the power to shape our future. If you tell yourself that you are someone who is defined by past failures or mistakes, then that's all you will ever be. But if you change that narrative, if you choose to redefine yourself, you begin the process of liberation. Think about it. Every moment offers a new opportunity to tell a different story about who you are. This is the core of self-transformation. The key here is not to erase the past, but to stop allowing it to write your future. As Nietzsche said, become who you are. To become who you are requires the courage to reject the limitations imposed by your past, and the willingness to embrace the unknown potential of the present. Another counterintuitive solution is forgiveness, not just of others, but of yourself. Forgiveness, in this sense, is not an act of condoning what happened or erasing the wrongs done to you. It is a decision to stop allowing those wrongs to control you, to stop allowing them to shape who you are. When you forgive, you release yourself from the emotional shackles that bind you to the past. You give yourself permission to move forward without carrying the burden of resentment, guilt, or shame. Many great thinkers have discussed forgiveness. Viktor Frankl, in his work on logotherapy, argued that we must find meaning in suffering, and part of that meaning comes from learning how to let go of the pain we carry. Frankl's own survival in the Holocaust was a testament to his ability to transcend suffering, not by forgetting it, but by choosing to redefine its meaning. The power of forgiveness lies in its ability to break the chain between the past and the present. When you forgive, you regain control over your narrative. You refuse to let past pain dictate your future choices. The process of letting go also involves accepting the impermanence of life. The Buddha taught that all things are transient, and in accepting this truth, we are freed from the grip of attachment. Our relationships, our successes, our failures, all of these things are temporary. By embracing the impermanence of life, we open ourselves to the possibility that each moment is a fresh opportunity to create something new. But perhaps the most profound form of rebellion comes in the decision to create new meaning. In the face of pain, disappointment, or regret, you have the power to reinterpret your experiences. Every challenge, every failure is an opportunity to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this moment, this experience, contribute to my growth? By reframing your past, you release yourself from an emotional charge. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances and start seeing yourself as an active participant in the creation of your life. This act of creation is liberating because it puts you in control of your future. It says that the past does not define you, but your ability to learn, adapt, and grow does. It tells you that you have the power to shape your destiny, regardless of what happened yesterday. You are not trapped by the narrative of your past. You are free to write your own story. The rebellion is not about fighting the past, but about freeing yourself from its grip. It is about shifting your mindset, changing your narrative, and choosing to move forward with intention. You can break free from the past, but it requires the courage to look at your life through a new lens, one that is not tainted by old wounds, but illuminated by the possibilities of who you can become. In the next section, we will uncover the ultimate truth behind the art of letting go, the most profound realization that will redefine your entire approach to life. It is a revelation that will make all of your struggles, your pain, and your fears dissolve into clarity. But before we get there, consider this. When you break free from the chains of the past, what do you see waiting for you on the other side? What version of yourself could you become? Once you are no longer defined by what has already happened, the answer may surprise you. Now that you have explored the psychological patterns, the societal forces, and the paths toward liberation, it's time for the ultimate revelation, the realization that will transform everything. This final truth is the key to everything we've discussed so far, the piece of the puzzle that will bring clarity to your entire journey of letting go. You are not the sum of your past. The realization is profound, and yet it is deceptively simple. Let that truth sink in. You are not the sum of your past. This is the deepest form of freedom, the kind that allows you to redefine your entire existence. The story you've been telling yourself about who you are, about the mistakes you've made, about the regrets you carry. These are not your identity. They are merely fragments of a larger, unfinished narrative. When you let go, when you release yourself from the weight of history, you enter into the realm of infinite possibility. Your past may have shaped you, but it does not determine who you must be in the future. You are not a prisoner of your experiences. The story is not over. You are still writing it. This truth is both liberating and terrifying. On one hand, it means that you are free to create yourself anew at any moment. The future is a blank page, and you hold the pen. No matter the pain you've suffered, no matter the choices you regret, you are free to choose who you want to become. This power, this sovereignty over your own identity, is an incredible gift. It allows you to transcend the limitations imposed by your past and step into a life that reflects your true potential, not the echoes of old memories. On the other hand, this truth is terrifying because it forces you to take full responsibility for your life. If you're not defined by your past, then what are you waiting for? What is holding you back from stepping into the life you want? The realization that you are free from the past also means that there is no one else to blame for where you are now. No one, but you can decide how to move forward. It means accepting the immense responsibility of choosing how you respond to every moment, how you shape your future, and how you craft the person you want to become. This power, while liberating, demands your active participation in life. You must stop waiting for external circumstances to change, for others to validate you, or for some distant moment in the future when things will finally be right. The time to act is now. You are the creator of your own life. In a way, this truth echoes the existential philosophies of Jean-Paul Sartre. He argued that human beings are condemned to freedom. This means that we are responsible for the choices we make, and that we have the freedom to create our own essence. The past may inform us, but it does not define us. In fact, Sartre's notion of bad faith is crucial here. The idea that we deceive ourselves by allowing past experiences to dictate our future actions. To live authentically is to step into the uncertainty of the present, embracing the freedom to choose without the burden of past mistakes. But what happens when you finally internalize this truth? What happens when you no longer let the weight of the past pull you back? In that moment, the world changes. The clarity that emerges from this shift is nothing short of profound. The fear that once held you in place dissipates, because you realize that you are no longer a victim of your circumstances. Your past becomes just that, the past, a series of events that you learn from, not a series of chains that shackle you. Every mistake, every failure, every painful experience becomes a stepping stone on the path to who you are now choosing to be. The moment you realize that the past does not define you, you can finally embrace the present as it is. You stop trying to rewrite the story you've already lived and begin crafting the one that is yet to unfold. And in that space of freedom, you come to a powerful understanding. The only thing that ever truly matters is what you choose to do with your life in this very moment. The realization of this truth means that you are no longer burdened by the idea that your past is a weight you must carry. The past has no more hold over you than you allow it to. You can choose to acknowledge it, learn from it, and move forward with greater wisdom and strength. Or you can choose to let it go, to release its grip completely, and embrace the boundless future ahead of you. This is the essence of letting go. It is not a rejection of your past. It is an acknowledgement that your past does not have the power to control your present or future. You are the author of your own story, and no one else can write it for you. The ultimate truth, the most profound revelation, is this: you are free. In this freedom, there is power. And in this power, there is peace. So, I leave you with this final thought. Now that you understand that the past does not define you, how will you choose to live in the present? Will you continue to carry the weight of old memories? Or will you step boldly into the future, free from the chains of the past, ready to create a new chapter? The choice, as it always has been, is yours.